Well, clarifying its stance, the government says it's not about banning single-use plastic, but more about creating awareness and a people's movement to curb its use. Well, for more, I'm joined by Ramanan Krishnamoorti, live from Houston. He's a professor of chemistry and biomolecular engineering at the University of Houston. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Rachelle. Happy to be here.
So what's your take on the delay of this ban, as well as the reasoning behind it?
I think that is absolutely the correct decision. It is not about banning these valuable items. Single-use plastics, plastics in general, are extremely valuable. They really are a huge benefit to society. You can see this with changes in mortality rates, in our improvements in quality of life, and really building awareness is really the challenge. We are looking at the plastic pollution issue. It's a 5% challenge, a 5% spillage issue in countries like India, and 95% of it is being safely and appropriately disposed of. I think addressing it by building awareness, by really bringing the knowledge to people and giving them the power to make decisions, I think is absolutely the right way to do it.
So give us some perspective. Just how big of a problem is plastic waste in India?
So in India, it hasn't been quite quantified. Globally, we know that it's about 8 million tons that are being dumped into the ocean out of a total of about 400 million tons. So it's about a 2% challenge in worldwide. But if you look at the developing world, such as countries like India, it's probably estimated to be about a 5% waste issue, that the waste is improperly disposed of.
So talk about the plastic items that are covered in the proposed ban and why they were singled out.
So you've got plastic bags, you've got single-use film materials that are used for packaging. These are materials that typically are very hard to recycle because they're hard to be picked up, they're hard to be sorted, and they're hard to be cleaned. Because every time we do try to recycle plastics, you have to be able to pick them, you've got to be able to sort them, and you've got to be able to clean them out. And unless you can clean them out effectively, they can't be reused. And effectively, these films and bags tend to be very difficult to pick up. They also have very little value because for the rag pickers and people who pick them, they get paid by the weight of the plastics that they pick up, not by the volume. So these things occupy a lot of volume, not a lot of weight. They don't get a lot of value. And so these things tend to get left out and left to go into waste streams.
And plastics play a big role in India, as you mentioned. So one of the arguments against implementing the ban was that it was just too disruptive for businesses. What's your take on the best way to roll out some of these changes?
So I think banning is simply a bad idea. I think going towards more responsible use, finding ways to build recycling programs, finding ways to get materials to self-degrade, to sustainably fall apart, rather than to design in sustainability is the right way to do it. And I think the industry is moving in that direction. And I think with the right amount of encouragement that is being provided to the industry, they're moving in that direction. The Alliance for Global Plastic Waste is really addressing this with as aggressive a manner as possible without disrupting all of the real benefits that come from plastics.
Now, are there enough affordable plastic alternatives out there to try and offset or perhaps replace the loss of plastic products?
Well, certainly there are other products that are available. You've got glass, you've got paper, but when you look at life cycle analyses of these, and these have been done in detail, both from an energy as well as from an environmental perspective, they don't come out ahead. And fundamentally, if this was all of the plastics that were going into the environment and polluting the environment, then there would be a case to try and move to alternates. Again, I want to remind you, it's a 2 to 5%. Globally, it's a 2%. In the developing world, it's a 5% waste or inappropriately disposed of plastics that are creating the issues. And so, I think we've got to be really careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. 95% of the material is being used appropriately and disposed of appropriately, and really is something that is beneficial to society. They are lighter, it's a much lower impact on energy, and just the cost of making this is much better. So,
all right, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much, Professor Ramanan Krishnamoorti at the University of Houston.